you'll see people saying I can do this thing for you, or I can fulfill this obligation. It's generally not considered a good time to sign contracts. And it's also, when it goes retrograde, when it turns direct around August 1st, we're going to have a new moon around August 1st. And that'll be interesting because this will be the first non-eclipse new moon we've had in a while. And this current eclipse tonight will be the last eclipse we have until December. So that's actually good. So essentially, this particular new moon coming up around August 1st, Mercury will go direct. That's number one. Number two, the moon is going to be in Cancer, which is in its own sign. So it's a good time for starting projects or for changing things, especially for changing emotional states. So for a lot of you people who have been feeling a little bit constricted or tight or emotionally compromised, it's really, really good. And you can actually start on the projects that have been pushed back for the past couple of months, and you can actually see some progress being made. And won't that be a good thing? The other thing that you have to look forward to is that Jupiter, although it's not direct, is in the 5th house from this new moon. So essentially, that's a luck-producing combination. Jupiter aspects the 1st house in the new moon. It'll make people more honest, more disciplined. Still, Mercury's going to float back into Cancer within a couple of days, so the combination for deception will continue for about another month or so. So you have to be a little bit careful about trusting people. Not that you should, cast, but just take everything people tell you with a grain of salt, and try to move forward according to your own best interest. Now, one of the things that makes these periods so interesting is this particular moon so interesting to me is because it's entering a cardinal sign. And signs are identified into the 3 basic types. They're cardinal, they're fixed, and they're mutable. I'm using the English terms. The Indians use slightly different terms, but they mean essentially the same thing. And basically, cardinal signs are terrific for starting things. So Cancer's a terrific sign for starting knowledge, for starting religious pursuits, for starting businesses. Okay, it's a very public sign. If a person wants to announce for public office, that's Cancer's really the sign to do it. If a person wants to change or build a philanthropic institution, Cancer's the sign to do it. Educational institutions, Cancer or Virgo. So those are essentially good times to start those kinds of activities. Essentially, over the next few months, you'll start to see August and K2 are still going to be close to each other for most of the month. So that's still going to cause some problems with structures, with boundaries. There'll be a lot of confusion about new structures, about changeovers to existing institutions, and there'll be a lot of problems, especially for people born around mid-December to mid-January, around structuring their lives or having some element of luck in their lives. Over the past 2 months, the majority of people I've been seeing in terms of my personal astrological practice have been people who have prominent Geminis or prominent Sagittariuses. And what I mean by prominent is they'll either have a lot of planets there, or their rising signs will be there, or their moon sign or sun sign will be there. And that sounds like a lot of people, but believe it or not, it's actually not a lot of people are affected by things like that. But it is one of the signs. Gemini is one of the signs that does affect relationship life. It's very detrimental when Venus is with Rahu. That'll be out of that sign by July 23rd. So that'll be good for relationship life. But after around August 1st, there'll be more of a potential for lying and misrepresenting yourself in relationships. So again, be cautious in entering new relationships between August 1st and September 30th. The major thing I want you to bring home with you from this particular class is that although the bigger storm is over, there is still some storms coming, but there are also some good things coming up over the next few months. Especially September to October look like they're absolutely spectacular months. So that's something to look forward to. August is going to be mixed. August is going to be, and we'll talk more about September and October as we go on. But especially for people with born in October, born between September through around November 15th, those months will be terrific. People born between also between March 15th and April 15th. And they'll be good for the other signs as well. There'll still be some problems for people born between June 15th and July 15th throughout the end of the year. A lot of that, and between December 15th and January 15th. The other signs are hit in varying degrees, and I can't really, well, let me just try to go through. So people born between August 15th and between July 15th and August 15th, be careful of people misrepresenting themselves. People born between August 15th and September 15th, beware of financial problems. I've already covered October 15th through September 15th through October 15th. People born to November 15th, excuse me. People born between November 15th and December 15th, good financial opportunities, although they will be slow at the start. People born between, and I've already covered December 15th to January 15th. People born through January 15th through February 15th, great financial opportunities. February 15th to March 15th, good career opportunities. March 15th to April 15th, I already discussed that, good relationship opportunities. April 15th to May 15th, good business opportunities, finally, after a year of what I would call honors, but not really a lot of payoffs financially. Finances should improve for this sign dramatically, and there is also a possibility of foreign travel. And people born between May 15th and June 15th, again, good relationship opportunities, good business partnerships, finally a break from a lot of the hidden debts or expenses that have flattened your hopes and dreams over the past 2 years or so. So essentially, right now, over the next few months, despite the danger of what I would call a short-term financial panic towards the end of the year into early next year, and despite the fact of a possibility of some kind of a conflict, although I don't think that'll happen until sometime next year, the remainder of the year looks fairly good for the astrological signs. But again, we're still not out of the woods yet. June, July, and August have been 3 of the most challenging months I've seen in a long time. One of the things I would like to leave you with is there are certain gems and certain remedies that you can wear to offset some of these traits. I plan to take an entire session to discuss those things and give you some advice on those. There are certain gems which are considered good to wear in Vedic astrology. Some of them can range from very expensive to very extremely affordable stones. So you don't have to break the bank in order to do a remedy. Also, wearing certain colors, like I'm wearing a violet shirt today, that's really in honor of the eclipse because Rahu's color is ultraviolet, so I'm honoring Rahu today. But there are other colors you can wear, like normally for Sundays you would wear crimson, for Mondays you would wear white, for Tuesdays you would wear a bright red, for Wednesdays green, for Thursdays a yellow or an orange, for Fridays you can wear any color, for Saturdays you would wear a black or a dark brown. And those essentially are the primary colors. Wearing those colors for the day of the week is considered to be a way of attuning yourselves to the energy of the planets. I'll talk more about the variety of remedies in the next class. I think you'll find it interesting because it actually does vary by the time of the time of day you were born, the year you were born, and essentially what your rising sign looks like in the chart. Those are the specific remedies, but you can also describe general remedies for a Vedic chart based upon where the sun sign is. So these things are part of the Vedic astrological tradition, and although some astrologers do not ascribe to the gemstone theory, there are people who ascribe to the theory of yagyas or prayers or charitable acts as being good devices for remediating difficult times. So let's say if you want to do something for charity, like let's say give money to the poor, if Saturn's being difficult in your chart, that's considered to be a good thing. Feeding dogs, if K2 is difficultly placed in your chart. Being nice to young ladies or to artists or musicians is considered good, and to teachers or priests is considered good for Venus or Jupiter. So we have this entire list of remedies, which I'll cover next time. All right. For now, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking with you. You can also contact me through Facebook. There's a variety of places, and also through my YouTube channel where these videos are also aired. Okay, thank you, and namaste.
So you can get started in 5, 4, 3.
Hello, this is Gary Gomes. I'm here at Greater New Bedford Cable TV to talk about Vedic astrology and related subjects. I hope everyone had a pleasant... I'm coming to you right after July 4th holiday. It's July 8th. And it's been an interesting couple of days because we had one of the most well-known astrological phenomena happen. This is the part that most people know about astrology, other than the full moon allegedly making people crazy, and it gets a bad rap for that. It really doesn't. People themselves have maladaptive patterns, and the full moon essentially allows them to express them. But you can't blame the full moon for every single bad action a person takes. Okay, so that moralistic diatribe out of the way, we have what started yesterday as a Mercury retrograde. So retrogrades are kind of interesting because, and most people, if they're having communications problems, or if they're having computer problems or discussion problems where they're just missing each other, they'll blame it directly on, Mercury must be retrograde again. And it's a partially true phenomenon. Is true in Western astrology. Western astrologists tend to put a great deal of emphasis on it, and Eastern astrologers also do. So it's a common condition that most astrologers pay attention to. However, it is not quite as bad or deleterious in effect as is common thought. Right now, Mercury just turned backwards as we view it from the Earth. Now, retrograde, just a minute on retrograde, the retrograde phenomena itself. Retrograde planets do not move backwards in the sky. I can remember when I was a kid looking at all these really interesting theories as to why a planet tended to move backwards in the sky. And I remember Tycho Brahe had a really fascinating model. And then I believe it was Kepler finally figured out, hey, they seem to be moving retrograde because the Earth isn't the center of the cosmos, and these planets are moving backwards because they're either passing us or we're passing them. So if anybody's ever been in an automobile or on a train, let's say, I've had the experience much more often on a train, where, and this is one of the places that Einstein actually thought of one of his theories of relativity, essentially, or was inspired to it, is essentially when you're sitting in a train and you're moving forward in the train, another train may also be moving forward in the same direction, but it's moving more slowly than you are, so it appears to be moving backwards, when in fact it's moving forward, but the relative speed compared to yours is actually slower than yours. In a case of a planet like Mercury, Mercury moves faster than the Earth does around the Sun, so it passes us at least 3 times a year. As a matter of fact, 3 times a year exactly. So when you have a retrograde motion of a planet, is in the case of Mercury or Venus, Venus retrogrades are very rare, and they only happen once every 2.5 years. And it's a very unusual phenomenon. Mercury retrogrades because Mercury whips around that sun so quickly. It happens every 3 times a year. And you can sort of like figure out when the next occurrence is going to be even without looking at an astrology chart. The next retrograde start will be about 4 months from now. So whenever you have something that happens 3 times a year, you can measure your bottom dollar that about 3 to 4 months from now, the same pattern will occur. So we'll be having another one in around November and into early December. So that's just forewarned is forearmed. But retrograde patterns, especially with Mercury in particular, Mercury rules over certain things in both Vedic and Western astrology. So it rules over communications. In Vedic astrology, it actually rules over skin. That's the organ of the body it rules. And essentially that's, if you think about it, that's a perfect medium, because essentially a retrogression tends to, it will cause problems that you thought were resolved with the skin to come up. But it's also, if Mercury rules communications, the skin is essentially the body that communicates, the part of the body that communicates with the outside world. So I'm touching this, is sending sensory impulses into my brain. And